Finally, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 360 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing TKOG. And today I'm coming at you guys finally with my updated DRAGONMAID list. There's been a lot of crafting in this. I know you guys been asking, but I continuously tell you guys I don't just slap lists together. And if you're waiting, it's for a good reason. It's simply because I'm not comfortable with the list, and even though viewers want to see it so bad, it's not going to change my mind on whether or not I want to show it, because I'm not going to show you something that I wouldn't play, you know? And I'm not going to show you something that I don't feel confident or comfortable with. Like, when I show you guys a list, it's the absolute best that I can make with a lot of thought put into it. There's been a lot put in and taken out, and a lot just that didn't make the cut. And ultimately, what I wanted was the deck that can give me the best flu matchup, the best tier matchup, while still being inherently, as DRAGONMAID is, as good as it is against Rogue and Sprite and you know, Runic decks, etc. But the main thing right now, tier and flu is just kind of just where it's at. This is the majority of the matchups that I'm expecting to play. And so a lot of the cards that I put in gave me coverage, even if they're not going second cards. If they're just engine, they give me coverage in those matchups. This deck's inboards are absolutely absurd. Post siding, I can lock my opponent out of any action in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! You guys just don't understand how valuable that is. That's absolutely insane. People are not on hand traps. They're either on shift or they're on none, and this deck can make boards under shifter. It's just insane. This deck literally sets up FTK boards. This deck sets up boards that cannot be super polyed. This deck sets up boards that cannot be lava golemed or spear molded. And you can't dark ruler. You just really can't, because you can't activate spells. So you can't do anything. You can't mine. You can't dark ruler. You can't super poly. You can't play the game, bro. You literally cannot play the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! You can't spear mold me or lava golem me. It's just insane. This deck is absolutely cracked. I think it's an FTK going first. It's broken. It's uber duper consistent. This is the most consistent list up to date. There's just no brick hands. Your going second cards are insane. Like, there's so many multifacets to the cards that I implemented into my list that, like, I can confidently say this deck doesn't need to draw going second cards, and it will break boards. Period. It'll break flu boards with engine. It'll break tier boards with engine. When I say I've put testing into this list to get the best results, I said, bro, I just only want to play against those decks, and that's how I'm going to learn how to modify my ratios and how I'm going to convert the main deck to be exactly where it needs to be. So I had to continuously play against all of those decks over and over and over and over and over, and kept taking cards out and putting cards in, and ultimately, this is where it's at. I took World Legacy Guard Dragon out. I took a lot of cards out because in testing, I kept playing into situations where they were just getting disrupted. Like, I tried to basically utilize if I was going to use graveyard extenders, it had to be the BYSTIALs, because they served as like utility cards, being extenders, starters, and even going second cards, and I just couldn't play too many like graveyard revival cards because of like BYSTIALs themselves being in the meta, and also like tiers. So this is it, you guys. This is the list. If you haven't done so already, definitely consider subscribing to the channel. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a dislike if you didn't. If you are going to sub, click the notification bell. You want to stay up to date with everything that I do. I'm definitely putting a lot more work into the channel and just getting you guys consistent content. But I'm not going to lie, I have to like catch up because there's so many like things people are asking for that I just literally don't have enough time to do all of them. Because each thing that I do is always quality over quantity. So every single list that I make, pretty much any content I do, there's just so much thought put into it and testing and practice. So I'm gonna do my best, but let's do this. Let's get into the list. Let's talk about it. So if we're going second cards, I'm just on Talent Droplet. I don't think that hand traps. If you're playing hand traps, you're either playing BYSTIALs or you're playing cards like Nibiru, Gamma, Mourner, Bell, and Imperm. I think. And maybe Ash sometimes, because like randomly for some reason against tier, like if you could just Ash as in the Shizu card and have like a Bell or like a Gamma for one tier monster, it's like it's ending turns, but like that's too. I don't know. It's just too reliant on drawing a specific combination. With like the BYSTIALs, they function as engine cards too, because this is a dragon deck at its core. So I just feel like you're either playing like super poly talents droplets, or you're main decking lava golems and spear modes, which is something I do in some of my other lists. I main deck spear mode and lava golem, and evenly matched. I think all those cards are incredible. There's so much preparation for a lot of different board breakers that you could say it's good to play hand traps because people aren't respecting them. But there's some decks that just don't have to respect them. It's not that sometimes they don't respect them, it's just they don't have to, because their engine's inherently able to play through those cards over and over and over. repetitiously. This deck's able to do the exact same thing. This is another deck that, I mean, when I say my 4 hand trap stories are crazy, I mean Ash, Nib, Imperm, Valor. I mean, dude, I have crazy stories of playing through boards and hand traps. This deck just consistently just bullies tiers. It bullies combo decks. Its inboard's the best inboard that I can say in the game right now. It requires for you to put in 2 bricks post siding. But I mean, for your ceiling to be that high and to only put in 2 cards in a 60 card deck, I just feel like it's worth it. You can lock your opponent out of any action while still having multiple negations, spot removals, and follow-up that's just so overwhelming that this deck cannot be allowed to have another turn. It plays on your opponent's standby and their battle phase. It plays during your opponent's in phase. This deck always has something. It always has something to do. There's always an action. And it always, everything it does affects the game state in a lingering way. Most of the cards that it utilizes give me so much advantage while also preventing certain actions from my opponent that they become cards that your opponent has to address. So even if you don't draw these going second cards, your engine is so powerful, they are going second cards. People don't think of the same way. I could play none of these and people are like, oh, how are you going second? Like, you have no going second cards. These are going second cards. Going second cards are cards that force interruptions, and if your opponent doesn't have the interruption, they break the board. Well, that's what my engine does. That's exactly what my engine does. It'll either be disrupted or it'll break the board. So everything you activate in this deck is a must negate. And if they don't have the specific interaction tailored to the quality of that card, then they can't stop it, and they just can't. They can't. Their board's gonna get broken. So Talent Droplet, insane. These are the only cards that matter. Especially Droplet. This deck has so much good value with this card. There's so much utility. You have consistent access to Spell Trap and Monster, and you have really good value with some of your cards. Especially sitting like the BYSTIALs, when they've gotten their value out of being DD Crows, and now they're getting their value of being sent off Droplets. It's insane. So the BYSTIALs, I max out on all of them because they're also extenders in this deck. So the multifacets of a lot of these cards is that they can be starters or extenders or even recovery cards while still being going second cards all in one. That's a four different good things packed into one card for all the BYSTIALs and a majority of my engine. Everything randomly can just turn into follow-up. It can randomly be an extender, and most of my cards are starters, especially if you just put 2 bodies on field. Boom, that's a whole combo right there. And all on top of that, they can easily go second because they can pressure boards. So I max out on all of them, every single one of them, especially with the Dragoonity list, because it allows you to access Gaydirk even more consistently. So just really good value with these cards. Honestly, I would never play any less than 3 of all of them, especially because I'm on 60. And these are like the best hand traps right now because they're also bodies to pressure boards. This deck just puts up so many huge bodies. It's so powerful. It's absolutely absurd how good this deck is. It's really cracked. These cards just get even more value. And this deck has like an infinite grind. It just pluses infinite. Like, you can go +4 battle phase, you go +3 standby phase. In your main phase, you're going +2, 3. On your opponent's turn, you can go +3. You plus every time you interact, you affect the game state. You give yourself follow-up, and you pressure your opponent, and you prevent certain things from activating or resolving. And you manipulate the game state all the time, like where you can play like a combo deck, but your opponent will be on combo, but you make them play like they're playing like Guru Control, like they're playing so slow, because you're preventing so many actions consistently, and you put your opponent in like an Izanagi. Like, if you guys have seen like Naruto, like in tier, you can checkmate them. You can put them in an Izanagi, an infinite loop they can never escape. You'll have 3 DD Crows every single turn, and you'll have Tidying. You will have 4 cards that affect the graveyard, so Tier's effects can never resolve. You can even disrupt their little Ishizu Shuffler guys. So this deck, especially because of this card too, this deck has an even better matchup against Tier. I designed this deck to bully that deck. So getting past the going second cards. And do not forget that Lubellion also functioned as a really good going second card because he can place the trap directly, which is just insane. And distributing your monsters is not bad because all of your stuff is dragon. Lubellion even functions as a card that plays around cards like Solik and any targeting negation, because if you have trap up and as long as you have a buy set up, you activate any card or effect and your opponent tries to target it and negate it, you just chain the trap, tribute it for costs, and then pop one of their cards just because, and then their card will miss its target. This also counterplays droplets if they don't send a trap. Just so much good value. But the starters are 3 Remus, 3 Chaos Space, 3 Lubellion, 3 Chamber, 3 Parlor, and 2 Ravine. These are the good quality starters. Everything else requires more than 1 card. These are all 1 card starters. Everything else you gotta put like 2. These are just 2 body on field. Well, Safred's a 1 card starter too. And the main reason for playing him is just because you can banish him and add back Lubellion. And certain combo sequences, that can be one of the only ways that you'll access him. That's why I incorporated him. Because I ran into situations where there was like no way I could get Lubellion. But I was like, if I played safer, I could. And he's also like a big deal in your Dragoonity combo because you Gay Dirk for him, summon him, send Gay Dirk for cost, and then grab one of your Bystads. And then you play from there, and you can go Bystad summon, link him and the Bystad into Romulus, and like, you know, go for the Mistleton play and get back your Gay Dirk anyway. So it's like so much plus. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. So yeah, and Chamber and Parlor have their own way of dealing with hand traps. Even though hand traps aren't that popular, the hand traps that are good, these cards beat them, like the Bystads and like the Havness and stuff like that. And the I mean, not the Havness, the Bystads and the like the Orange Light and stuff. Most people don't negate these cards, and that's what makes them so good because they immediately put up Shao. Every time these cards resolve, they just put up Shao. You have more high level dragons than you've ever had ever. These cards always put up Shao. This deck can put up multiple negations in the middle of its combo. I cut Baby Rock because it just felt like so free. Like, I was just putting up so much disruption. I was putting up Baron de Fleur and DRAGONMAID Shao in the middle of my combo. And I was like, why am I playing Baby Rock anymore? Nobody's really playing Nib. I don't need Crystal Wing. I don't really need it. That's how broken this list is. I cut Crystal Wing because it just felt like, what's the point? Like, I could just put up Baron or Shao or both in the middle of my combo, and my opponent has to have two. And that's another thing that helps you play around like the Shizu cards and like the Orange Light, because if they don't Orange Light these, which most people don't because they want to save them for the more valuable part of your combo, you know, you just put up the negate anyways, which is absolutely insane, you guys. These cards are ridiculous, and in your grind, these cards are just consistently pressuring boards. Chamber is always bringing back Shao. Every single battle phase, your opponent's going to kill Shao, you're going to bring it back. It just doesn't matter. It's insane. And you infinite plus, you infinite grind. You recycle everything because of the Bystad cards now. You just banish it, put it back. Banish it, put it back. Just infinite recurability. Infinite plus force. It's just insane. It's absolutely insane. And I like Ravine too because it also is another way that allows me to access the Rocket cards if I haven't seen it already. And you just always get access to that card like all the time. And Armogram is just like crazy. Like, I'll be dumping this turn 1 just with hindsight because I know my crackback. This card makes my crackback just insane. Like, this card's ridiculous. I've been doing so many goofy things with this card. I've been stealing people's stuff like the long way. So the rest of it is just like the 2 Tracer, the Recharger. I wanted to play, there's a Rocket that destroys all cards in its column because it did come up where I was like, oh my gosh, whoa bro, I can Borrow End right now for Tracer, right? And then on my opponent's turn, I can Tracer to bring that out, and then I can Borrow End to target that, and then clear their back row, their monster, and then like end phase summon another Tracer. It's ridiculous. And even with Recharger, especially with like Chaos Space and the Bystad cards now, when I say infinite recursion, infinite plus, there's like such a nutty interaction with this card because now you can infinitely recycle Striker Dragon. So every turn on your crackback, it's like, even if it's not Standby Shao, it's literally just the Hospitality you search, you just go Hospitality for Nurse, Nurse for Parlor, Parlor for Tidying, Tidying for Chamber, Chamber just grab something else. You link one of those off into Striker, and then you go Striker, pop yourself in Recharger. Recharger, bring back the Red MD from your initial combo. And then you go Red MD, bring back something else. And then in battle phase, you go Chamber, bring back Shao. And you have a full field off of one Hospitality. Just one. That's it. This, when I say this deck's follow-up and crackback's insane, you can OTK off one card. And you can have 3-4 interruptions just off one card. It's just insane. You can also just bring back Gay Dirk and just start doing Dragoonity stuff again. Ridiculous. For extenders, besides the 9 Bystads, and technically Lubellion, because you can just search them, so you have like a ton of extension. That's why this deck plays through boards so well. This deck it's way better than Dragon Link. It really is. This deck has more forms of extension than like any combo deck right now, and its forms of extension are diverse. So all that graveyard hate people's playing is not gonna work. And another thing to note is these Dragoonity cards let you pressure the flute board because you have wind access now. So you can just go special and like normal, and now like, or you don't even normal, you just go special, and like if they don't flip the trap, then you just summon a Gay Dirk and you get access to like a multitude of different cards. you can actually do the Dragoonity combo with just pure wins, and you'll be able to consistently out the Bear Statue. You'll also be able to get Armorgram too, which can negate Bear Statue. But most of the time, what I do is like I just negate the Impin, because it forces them to, instead of searching like a Avion or a what's that guy's name? Freaking Ryza. They have to search another Impin now. And if they don't, like, if you open the Dragoonity package, if they don't play a second Bear Statue, like, you're just gonna win in main phase 2. It doesn't matter. So three quick launch, one of the best extenders in the game. Like this, if you open this in like a buy set, it's just insane. Like you just literally just summon Bear in the floor in the middle of your combo. Like even going second, this is a going second card. Like you just have buy set cards. You summon a rocket off quick launch, and I don't know what people just don't do anything. You're just, all right, bro. Synchro on a Baron, and then not only am I synchro on a Baron, effective Druid's Worm Sin, Baron pop, negate, broken. Nocto, I was testing this at 3 because I love that turn 0 play where you summon a Bicep and you summon Nocto, so you can chain block your Magnamut, and then you start your turn off with like or even when you have Druid's Worm, it's insane too. With like Druid's Worm and Sarnir, it's so much plus because you start your turn with linking Druid's Worm or Sarnir and the Nocto into Romulus, and then you go Romulus 1, Nocto 2, and then if depending on which one you prioritize, that will be Chainlink 3, and you just get Draw, you get Ascend, or you get a Foolish for like Lubellion, and then you get Ravine, and then with Lubellion in its grave, it's just absolutely insane, and you can even Ravine dump. It's just too much plus. It's way too much plus. And Double Hospitality, this is actually getting changed. It's come up a few times, but this, I made up my mind that I'm going to change one of these for a DRAGONMAID Welcome, because there was an instance where I was like, okay, if I had Welcome, this would be broken, because like if I have Welcome, Regained, and Beast, I win every single duel. It doesn't matter. I plus Infinite on top of Infinite, and then with Welcome, I can just add back my one hospital, because I cut Tiding down to 2, and the third one has came up, and I thought to myself, Hospitality could just be a Welcome, and I could just infinitely recur Hospitality and Tiding, and just leave that one Tiding to just checkmate tier. Like when I say Izanagi, they cannot escape the loop. Like they're stuck in that Genjutsu forever. It's inescapable. It's a Twilight Zone. They can't get out of it. They can't break it. So this is gonna become a Welcome. I did brick on Welcome, but it was only once, so I'm gonna put it back in and see how I feel about it. But I think I'm gonna change this to Welcome because I just think Welcome offers more. And the Red MD, Gas. This with like the recurable Striker, you just Striker for Recharger for Red MD every turn. It's just so broken. Armorgram, I love this card. It's so good. It's so good. This card is just the best Dragon Ruler in the game right now. It comes back forever. I steal so many people's cards. This with Glow is such a clutch interaction. People sleep on it all the time. I steal people's stuff all the time, bro. As long as it's not a link, I just negate it, I kill it, and then I equip it, and I summon it. I take it. So there's just so many cool things this deck can do that just is like you won't even see it like coming. Like it's not on pen and paper. It's just through experience. There's so many interactions that make this deck broken. It's insane. Like sincerely. The router just to be able to access the rockets, and then one of each. This makes Chaos Space both a starter and an extender. I tested Levianeer, but I play so many already high levels, and some of them have requirements to get out that I was like, dude, I bricked with Levianeer like 30% of the time, and that 30% was enough. If I didn't already have my specific kind of situational high levels already, because you have Lorper and you have Mistleton, and you also have like these guys. These guys are easier to do, but like I didn't want to play 5 situational high levels when I already play like the Bysteds, and these require setup, and like, you know what I mean? It's just like Levianeer is so good, and I really like it. But in this list, it just wasn't it, bro. Because I play so many other cards, and I just didn't want to really just increase the chances of bricking just to raise the ceiling for a deck whose ceiling's already so high. Like Levianeer, the only thing it does that my deck doesn't do is like rip cards from hand. Because I have Reborn, I have pressure to pop cards. I don't really need that. Glow, broken. It's another extender. The launch, we have Mistleton and Legatus, part of the Dragoonity cards. Lorper, I love this card. Once you get it in rotation, your crackback's more insane, because you add this to your hand on your opponent's turn. You start your turn with Pitch, Lorper, Beta Negate. Normal summon a monster, it gets like Solic. Link in a Striker effect, it gets negated. Hospitality, bring back Nurse, bring back Dragon, bring back Shaoan Dragon in battle phase. Like this deck will like get its board broken, and then it'll break through 3-4 negates with just follow up. No cards in hand. Your hand is your graveyard. Albaz is the new seal target I'm on. I was on Draco. I found that this was actually better in a lot of matchups where I still bounce, that's 1 card clear. Summon Albaz, Contact Fuse, that's 2 cards clear. Summon Mirror Jade, non-targeting, non-destruction removal. Banish, that's 3 cards cleared. And then also in phase, Branded Regained. So yeah, because if every time I choose Beast, I always choose Beast over Regain. Regain's super greedy. So I always choose Beast. So in phase, you just search Regain because you dumped Albion. And you have Mirror Jade, and you could just banish Albion, put him back, so you can just keep using Mirror Jade. And she's also like another way to out towers. Like there was a ruling. I forgot. I think it was on MSC TV's channel. But the lingering effect of Mirror Jade actually clears cards like Psychic and Punisher, which actually makes her even more broken. So you don't have to play like Goddess. You know, I like her a lot. I really do. I think this card's insane. You can even Albaz going second, which is really cool. And post sighting, you do put in Alba Linitis, because like this is extremely searchable. And you can just Alba Linitis the Dragon League matchup, but it's not really that popular right now, so I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it. Changeover, I thought about playing this at 3, because this card, when it gets negated, you just put it back. So they'll negate the activation, and then they'll use a Graveyard Interruption on it, like a Tier Ishizu Shuffler, and now the card traded with 2 interruptions, and it's not once per turn, so you just get another one. Regain, Infinite Grind, Infinite Plus. Like even on your turn, when your opponent summons cards like Havness, this card will literally they will make your deck autopilot, and it's so broken you will outgrind that deck. And then this card is the best trap card in the game right now. Like this card is just insane. It's so broken, it's ridiculous. This card is +2 and an interruption by itself. Your deck never loses to Mystic Mind, and never. You never get decked out, and you're out to Mystic Mind, play around the runic cards, and then you have Beast 2. You checkmate traps. This deck is just so good. It really is. Like I was thinking about just doing 2 beasts, but again, no more bricks. That's why I'm not playing Levy. You can raise your ceiling, but it affects your consistency. Side, Shao, Double House. You just have 1 Shao. You banish it, put it back if you need, but you're always bringing it back off chamber. Mirror Jade, Albion, Striker, Pisty. Like I'll even dump Tiding at times, and my opponent will do a bunch of stuff to kill Shao, and I'll let him kill it, and then I'll just Tiding and bring it back anyways, and then they'll kill it again. Or I'll use its negation, and then like you just chamber. Striker, Pisty, Seal, just 1. You can just recycle it. But most of the time, like the deck ceiling's so high, you need to resolve Seal once. And this just makes your boards harder to correct too, because like if you do miraculously get Dark Roller drop lidded, if your opponent actually had real hand traps and you couldn't AMORPHAGE lock them, then like this card still resolves. You know, you still summon out like Albaz and like clear 2 of their cards. Triple Burst for like the Pissy combos. Boral end card's just absolutely disgusting, as well as Savage. Baron, I love that I can make this card in this deck so consistently. Like, it's so good. The Dragoonity combo, if you read this, you are locked into dragons the rest of the turn. So you can still summon Baron in the middle of your combo and then do Dragoonity stuff. And Atum, even without the Dragoonity cards, you can access this pretty consistently because of the buy stats. And now, I don't play all of these. Right now, I'm playing Lechery and the Trap Guy. But I took it even further, and I was like, okay, like, the AMORPHAGEs deny every action. And so even though trap decks aren't that popular, I thought, let me just switch out Greed. Because basically, in the Dragoonity combo, you're going to search 1, and then you're going to discard it, and then you're going to bring back a Durg, and then you're going to search the other, and you're going to keep it and discard another dragon, and then you're going to red MD to summon out the other AMORPHAGE that you discarded off of your Gay Durg, and then you're going to scale the one that you kept. So you either get Lechery for spells and summon like Greed, and he's 1950 booty, so now your opponent can activate spells. Or you go the Tribute guy, you go Wrath for and I just really liked that Greed had 1950. So like you go Wrath for this guy then, and you can still protect them by battle because of like Tidying and Seal and Beast. And like either way, basically what you're gonna do is you're just gonna respect what you know can break your board. So if you think Spear Mode, like sometimes I'll board with like Spear Mode's the only way. So that's when you just go for Wrath. And worst case, these are dragons. You could normal summon them. You can link with them. You can do whatever. Or if you don't need it, you just discard it for your Dragoonity stuff or for your Ravine. They're never dead. And you only put 2 in. So you basically just pick which launch. Because either way, 1 gets summoned and 1 gets searched. So, and the thing with like the Sloth and the Goliath is like you can't search these off Gay Durg, but you can still summon them off Seal. And that's why I was thinking to myself, you can also search them off these. And with Sloth, I was thinking to myself, this is searchable also off of Safer. And basically, it just prevents my opponent from searching. But the more I thought about it, I was like, if my opponent cannot activate spell cards, you know, and I'm like locking them out of the main thing that their deck does, I don't feel like I need to prevent them from searching, because like this is good against, like, this is something outside against Flu because they really need to search, or I would just do the Wrath. It would either be that. So that's why I'm feeling like Sloth isn't really that good right now. So, and I only have these all here just to show you all the different locks. I don't play all these right now. I only play Lechery and Greed. So I either lock somebody out of traps, I lock them out of spell, and then I have the Wrath. So right now I'm only doing Tribute, Spell, and Trap. You put in Trap against the monkey decks. And then, well, no matter what, whichever one you side in, you always want to summon Greed because he has 1950 booty. And so with the Wrath, you're just like, okay, Spear Mode. Because like, if your deck plays around Super Poly, if you make a board that plays around Super Poly, and you know you don't lose Submission Mind because you have outs, and you don't really care about Droplets, Dark Ruler, a lot of people aren't even on those, you know the only way your opponent's really going to break your board is if they have Spear Mode or Lava Golem, then you just put in Wrath. Because like there's other instances where this is good, because it says Tribute Monsters, period. So this denies a lot more actions than just those. So and Lechery, I just think right now is the best one. Like no spell cards whatsoever. I think that's insane because that cuts off more. Like this counterplays more counterplay than the Wrath does, because this plays around Talents, Droplets, Super Poly, Dark Ruler, Raigeki, Lightning Storm, Dark Hole, Mystic Mine, Engine. A lot of people's Engine. It bodies Flu. It bodies Runic deck. Even Tears have a hard time with this card. Because like if they can't use spells to break your board, they basically have to have Spear Mode. And believe it or not, you can actually set it up with both of these. That's why I still side these three in. Because you can summon the other one off of... you can just scale both. And then you could summon the other one. Like even if you didn't have the Gay Dirk, you can summon the other one off Spheres. So you can literally have Lechery plus Wrath. Neither player can tribute, neither player can activate spells, and you just summon the Greed either off the Dragoonity combo, or if you didn't have enough fodder, because you still need to put your engine out. You still need to do DRAGONMAID stuff. You can't just put up an AMORPHAGE lock and that's it. You need follow-up, and you need at least 2-3 interruptions like negations. So like what you'll do is in your opponent's draw phase, you'll activate Sphere, and then you'll summon this bad boy out. And you make sure your board can't be super polyed in the first place, so you don't have to worry about that. So in that instance, you don't summon Shao. Instead, you summon cards like Baron and Savage. You either summon Baron or Savage, and if you summon Baron, then you go for the Borrelin, so you play around super poly. If you summon Savage, you don't go for the Borrelin, then you summon the Seal. So you'll have Baron, you'll have like Savage, Baron, Seal, or you have like Borrelin, Baron. And if you have Shao, then you don't have Seal. But if you do the Shao, that means you had enough for your Dragoonity Gay Dirk to do that twice, and you still not Red MD, and you still Heretic King of Autumn to directly summon the Greed from your deck, because you had enough for Gay Dirk to keep Wrath and to keep Lechery, so you just scale both, and then you, you scale them at the end of your combo, but you still King of Tomb to summon Greed from your deck. You do your combo, and at the end of your turn, you activate Wrath and scale, and you activate Lechery and scale. And these turn themselves off. You don't have to keep them forever. During your standby, you either tribute a monster or you kill them. But if your board isn't broken, you just leave these up. So it's checkmate. You know, it's checkmate. It's broken. It's absolutely insane. Like, it's really, really good. And with Rat specifically, it will clear you out the lock, because when you tribute for this card, you have to tribute the AMORPHAGE. So with Wrath, it'll just destroy itself automatically, because you don't care about that anymore. It doesn't matter. Your opponent can Lava Golem or Super Poly you. Lava Golem or Spear Mode you if it's your turn. So yeah, you guys, that is the deck profile. There's a lot of insight. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I really hope this was worth the wait. I put a lot of time and effort into this. Thank you guys so much. God bless you. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content. You have a beautiful day, alright? Peace.